The galaxy had never been quiet, but this moment felt different. Stars burned in silence as a great chamber of light floated in deep space. This was the Galactic Council Hall, where hundreds of powerful alien races ruled thousands of worlds. Massive screens showed symbols of empires that had existed for millions of years. Their voices were calm, cold, and confident. To them, the universe was already owned. New worlds were not discoveries. They were claims. On this day, one small blue planet was brought before the council. Its name was Earth. Earth was marked as a young world, noisy and unstable. Humans had only recently stepped beyond their planet. They were seen as divided, emotional, and dangerous in a simple way. The council leader spoke, its voice echoing through the hall. It announced that Earth had violated galactic law by expanding without permission. The punishment was clear. Earth must surrender its weapons, its space travel, and its independence. If it refused, a galactic war would be declared. For the council, this was not anger. It was routine. Across the stars, on Earth, the message was received. Satellites picked up the signal. Screens lit up in military rooms and government halls. Panic spread for a moment, then silence followed. Leaders argued. Generals planned. Scientists warned. Many expected Earth to send fleets, diplomats, or a message of surrender. The council waited, amused and patient. They had crushed stronger worlds before. Earth was nothing special, or so they believed. Hours passed. Then a response signal appeared in the council chamber. The aliens leaned forward, expecting fear. Instead, confusion filled the room. The signal showed only one life sign. No fleet, no army, no weapons detected. Just one small vessel, slow and simple, moving toward the council space gate. Murmurs spread across the chamber. Sensors confirmed it again and again. Earth was sending only one human. The vessel arrived and stopped at the center of the hall. A platform extended. The door opened. A human stepped out. He was small compared to the towering alien forms. He wore no armor, only a dark uniform. No visible weapons. His face showed age, scars, and calm eyes. He stood straight, hands at his sides. He did not bow. He did not tremble. He simply looked around the chamber as if he belonged there. Laughter echoed from some council members. Others showed anger. One voice rose above the rest and asked why Earth dared to mock the council. The human listened without interruption. When the chamber fell silent, he spoke. His voice was steady, not loud, but it carried. He said he was not there to beg. He was not there to threaten. He was there to answer the declaration of war. The council leader responded with cold amusement. It asked if Earth believed one human could represent an entire species. The human nodded. He said humans had always stood alone when it mattered. He said Earth understood the council's power, the fleets, the weapons, the long history of conquest. But he also said the council did not understand humanity. Not yet. Screens around the hall lit up as the human continued. He spoke of Earth's past. He spoke of a world born in fire, storms, and constant danger. Humans fought nature before they ever fought each other. They survived ice ages, plagues, and disasters that should have ended them. When wars came, humans learned fast. They adapted. They endured. They lost millions, yet they kept standing. Every time humanity was pushed to the edge, it did not break. It changed. Some council members shifted uneasily. The humans' words were simple, but the images were hard to ignore. Cities rebuilt from ruins. Soldiers fighting with broken tools. Civilians standing after loss. The human said something then that caused the hall to fall silent. He said humans did not fear war because war had grown with them. War had shaped them. And when humans fought, they did not fight to win quickly. They fought to last longer than their enemy. The council leader interrupted and warned the human that bravery would not save Earth. The galactic fleets could erase the planet from stars. The human accepted this without emotion. He said Earth knew this risk before it ever sent him. That was why they sent one human, not an army. He said armies could be destroyed, but an idea could not. And humanity itself was an idea forged by survival. Then the human delivered Earth's answer. Earth would not surrender. Earth would not kneel. If the Council declared war, humanity would respond fully. Not with speed, but with patience. Not with fear, but with resolve. He said every human, on every corner of their planet, would become part of the war. Not because they loved fighting, but because they refused extinction. The chamber erupted in noise. Some council members demanded immediate destruction of Earth. Others hesitated. The human waited, unmoving. Finally, the council leader spoke again. It asked the human one final question. Why would Earth choose war when surrender meant survival? The human looked directly at the leader and answered simply. He said a life without freedom was not survival. It was just a slower death. The council ended the meeting. War was officially declared. As the human turned to leave, the leader asked one last thing. It asked if the human truly believed Earth could stand against the galaxy. The human paused at the doorway. Without turning around, he gave his final words. He said Earth had never stood because it was strong. It stood because it refused to fall. Then he stepped back into his vessel, leaving behind a council that was no longer laughing. Far across the stars, Earth waited. The first move of a galactic war had been made, and it began not with a fleet, but with one human. The council chamber did not return to calm after the human left. The great screens still glowed, but the confidence that once filled the room was gone. Many council members spoke at once. Some mocked the human's words. Others replayed the recordings again and again. The image of one unarmed human standing without fear stayed in their minds. He had not shouted. He had not begged. That silence frightened them more than any threat. Far from the council hall, the human's vessel moved back through the space gate. Inside, the man finally allowed himself to breathe deeply. His name was Elias Ward. He was not a general or a politician. He was chosen because he had lived through war, loss, and rebuilding. Earth had many warriors, but it needed a voice that carried truth, not pride. Elias looked at the stars and thought of home. He knew the council would not forget his words. On Earth, news spread fast. People watched the recording of Elias standing before the council. Some were afraid. Some were angry. Many were silent. Governments stopped arguing. Military leaders stopped competing. Something rare began to happen. Humanity started to listen to itself. Elias had not promised victory. He had promised endurance. And that was something humans understood deeply. Back in the council chamber, the leaders ordered a full analysis of Earth. They wanted facts, not emotions. Analysts opened human history files. At first, they laughed. Humans had fought countless wars among themselves. They had destroyed their own cities. They had poisoned their own lands. To the council, this looked like weakness. A species that could not even live in peace with itself was not a threat. Or so it seemed. Then the deeper files opened. Patterns appeared. Humans always rebuilt faster than expected. Every disaster made them change their methods. Every defeat taught them something new. When resources were low, humans invented solutions. When enemies were stronger, humans fought smarter. The analysts noticed something strange. Human progress often came after suffering. Pain did not stop them. It pushed them forward. Elias returned to Earth quietly. He did not seek praise. He met with leaders only once, then disappeared from public view. His job was not to lead armies. His job was to remind humanity what it was. Messages he recorded were shared across the planet. He spoke in simple words. He told people not to hate the galaxy. He told them to prepare, to adapt, and to stand together. Fear was natural, he said, but giving up was not. In the council chamber, a second meeting began. The council leader asked a direct question. Was the human bluffing? Some members believed so. They argued that humans were too divided to fight a united galaxy. Others disagreed. They pointed to one fact. Earth had sent one human, not to threaten, but to warn. That was not the action of a desperate species. That was a calculated choice. One council member suggested a test. A small probe fleet would approach Earth's outer defenses. Not an attack, just pressure. They wanted to see how humans would react. The motion passed. Orders were sent. The fleet moved quietly, like a shadow crossing stars. No announcement was made. The council watched and waited. Earth detected the fleet within hours. Satellites tracked the movement. There was no panic, no public announcement. Instead, systems adjusted. Old defenses were powered up, new ones activated. Civilian networks shifted into emergency support mode. Supply lines were reorganized. It was not chaos. It was preparation. Humans did not rush forward. They dug in. Elias watched the data feeds from a quiet room. He said nothing. He only nodded. This was what he had hoped for. Not fear, not anger, readiness. The probe fleet stopped just short of Earth's defensive range. Scans were exchanged. The aliens saw something unexpected. Earth's technology was uneven, sometimes crude, but it was layered, flexible, and unpredictable. No single strike would cripple it. The Council analysts reported back. Earth was not surrendering. Earth was not attacking. Earth was waiting. That unsettled the Council more than open defiance. Waiting meant confidence. Waiting meant planning. The Council leader realized something then. Elias Ward had not come to negotiate. He had come to set expectations. War with humanity would not be fast. It would not be clean. And it would not end easily. A message arrived from Earth. It was not from government. It was from Elias. Short. Simple. He said the probe fleet was welcome to leave in peace. Or stay and learn. The choice was theirs. The Council chamber fell silent once more. This time, no one laughed. The probe fleet withdrew. The Council called a delay. But many knew the truth. Humanity had passed its first test without firing a shot. And somewhere deep in the Council's ancient minds, a new thought formed. Perhaps sending one human had not been a weakness. Perhaps it had been a warning written in flesh and will. On Earth, people looked up at the night sky. The war had not started yet, but everyone felt it coming. And for the first time in a long time, humanity faced the future not as nations, but as one species preparing to endure. The delay did not bring peace. It brought fear wrapped in silence. After the probe fleet withdrew, the Galactic Council began its deepest investigation yet. This time, they did not look at human politics or culture. They looked at war. Ancient wars. Modern wars. Forgotten wars. What they found disturbed them more than weapons ever could. Humanity did not have a single style of warfare. Humans changed the way they fought every time they were challenged. There was no pattern that stayed the same for long. Analysts studied recordings of early human conflicts. Humans fought with stones, then metal, then machines. When enemies were stronger, humans used the land. When enemies were faster, humans used traps. When enemies ruled the skies, humans went underground. Every time humans were cornered, they invented a new way to survive. Loss did not end their wars. Loss taught them how to fight better. One analyst pointed out something unusual. Humans often fought without hope of winning. Yet they fought anyway. They fought to delay. They fought to protect others. They fought simply to refuse defeat. This made no sense to the Council. Most galactic species surrendered when victory was impossible. Humans did not. They accepted death as a cost, not an ending. That mindset had broken stronger empires on their own planet. The Council requested simulations. Artificial minds ran millions of battle scenarios against Earth. In fast wars, the galaxy won. In slow wars, the results changed. Humans adapted mid-conflict. They copied alien tactics. They turned capture technology into new weapons. They used broken systems in ways no algorithm predicted. In long-term simulations, the cost of victory became unacceptable. Even when humans lost, they made sure the enemy paid more. On Earth, this same truth was being prepared quietly. Hidden facilities came online. Old bunkers were reopened. Factories shifted purpose. Nothing was announced publicly, but everyone felt the change. People trained after work. Engineers worked without orders. Farmers adjusted supply plans. It was not forced. It was instinct. Humanity had been here before. Not against the galaxy, but against extinction. Elias Ward moved between cities without ceremony. He spoke to workers, soldiers, and children. He did not speak of heroes or glory. He spoke of responsibility. He said humans survived because they protected each other when systems failed. He reminded them that no one was coming to save Earth. That truth did not cause panic. It created clarity. Back in the council chamber, doubt began to divide the leaders. Some demanded immediate total war. They argued that delay only gave humans time to prepare. Others hesitated. They saw the simulations. They saw the cost. One council member asked a question no one liked. What if humans were not trying to win the war, but to make it impossible to finish? That question changed everything. If humans could not be crushed quickly, the galaxy would bleed slowly. Trade routes would suffer. Border worlds would be threatened. Allies would question leadership. The war would spread, not because humans were powerful, but because they were persistent. They would fight in ways the galaxy was not built to counter. A secret vote was held. The Council authorized a limited strike. A single human outpost beyond Earth's orbit would be destroyed. It was meant to send a message. Strength. Finality. The fleet moved in silence. No warnings. No demands. Just execution. The outpost detected the fleet seconds before impact. There was no time to escape. Instead of panic, the station transmitted everything. Data. Tactics. Enemy signatures. The crew knew they would not survive. They stayed at their stations until the end. When the attack came, the outpost was erased. The fleet reported success. Then the data reached Earth. And something changed. Human networks absorbed the information instantly. Weaknesses were mapped. Patterns identified. Countermeasures planned. The loss of the outpost did not slow humanity. It sharpened it. Memorials were held quietly. Training intensified. New defenses activated. Humanity did not answer with anger. It answered with preparation. The Council expected fear. Instead, they received a transmission. It was from Elias Ward. He did not accuse. He did not threaten. He acknowledged the loss. He thanked the Council for proving his point. He said humanity now understood the cost of this war, and they accepted it. Some Council members felt something they had not felt in centuries. Regret. Analysts updated the simulations. The results grew darker. Every human loss increased resistance. Every strike created knowledge. The war no longer looked like conquest. It looked like infection. Once started, it would spread through the galaxy's systems, draining resources, attention, and stability. One council leader asked if there was still time to stop. Another replied that the war had already begun. Not with fleets, not with declarations, but with understanding. Humanity now knew how the galaxy fought, and humans were very good at learning how to fight back. On Earth, Elias stood alone beneath the night sky. He knew the truth the Council was only beginning to see. Humans did not need to defeat the galaxy. They only needed to survive it long enough to change it. The stars above him looked the same as always. But humanity no longer looked at them with wonder alone. Now, it looked with readiness. The secrets of human warfare were no longer secrets. And the galaxy was about to learn why humanity had never truly lost a war. The first true strike of the Galactic War came without ceremony. No warnings echoed through space. No grand speech followed. The Galactic Council ordered a direct attack on Earth's outer defenses. They believed a sharp, powerful blow would break human resolve. Their fleets moved in perfect formation, massive and silent, carrying weapons designed to end wars quickly. To the Council, this was not hatred. It was efficiency. Earth saw them coming. Long before the fleets entered weapon range, human sensors detected distortions in space. Old satellites, upgraded quietly over months, shared data across the planet. There was no panic in the streets. No public countdown. Emergency systems activated calmly. Civilian traffic shifted underground. Power grids isolated themselves. Humanity did not rush forward. It prepared to absorb the. Elias Ward watched the live feeds from a secure command center. His face showed no anger, only focus. He knew this moment would define everything. Humans had warned the Council. Now, the galaxy would test that warning. The first wave of alien fire struck Earth's orbital defenses. Platforms exploded into light and debris. The Council expected shields to fail quickly. Instead, Earth's defenses bent, shifted, and reformed. Some systems went dark on purpose, drawing enemy fire away from stronger positions. Missiles launched not to destroy, but to confuse. Old human tricks, refined through centuries of conflict, filled space with uncertainty. Alien commanders adjusted tactics. Faster strikes. Heavier weapons. The sky above Earth burned. Cities watched the battle as distant flashes like falling stars. People did not cheer. They worked. Medics prepared shelters. Engineers rerouted systems. Farmers secured food chains. Humanity moved like a single body under stress, each part knowing its role. Then Earth responded. Human counterattacks were not symmetrical. They did not mirror alien formations. Small craft swarmed in unpredictable patterns. Electronic warfare disrupted targeting systems. Decoy signals filled space with ghosts. Alien fleets fired at enemies that were not there. Every second of confusion saved lives. Every mistake cost the attackers resources they could not easily replace. The Council watched in growing shock. This was not the fast victory they expected. Earth's technology was uneven, but its strategy was brutal in its simplicity. Humans did not try to win space outright. They tried to survive it. Every destroyed human platform forced the aliens deeper, closer to the planet, where conditions favored defenders. The galaxy was being pulled into a fight it did not control. Hours passed. Losses mounted on both sides. Finally, the Council ordered a focused strike on a major defense hub. The weapon was precise and devastating. The hub was destroyed. Thousands of human defenders were lost in an instant. The Council believed this would break morale. On Earth, silence followed the news. Then something else spread. Resolve. Elias spoke briefly to global networks. He did not raise his voice. He did not promise revenge. He honored the fallen and reminded humanity why they stood. He said the enemy had shown its strength. Now humanity would show its will. The message ended. No slogans, no demands, just purpose. The battle continued into a second phase. Earth's defenses adapted again. New patterns emerged. Alien commanders realized too late that humans were learning in real time. Every engagement changed the next one. Every mistake made by the galaxy was remembered and reused. The war was no longer theoretical. It was personal. A sudden maneuver changed everything. Human forces triggered a controlled collapse of an orbital zone, forcing alien ships into unstable space. Several vessels were lost. Others retreated in disarray. The Council called it an accident. Their commanders knew better. This had been planned. At last, the Council ordered a withdrawal. Not a retreat, they claimed, but a regrouping. The fleets pulled back beyond Earth's range. Space grew quiet again. Smoke and debris drifted where stars once shone clearly. Earth still stood. The Council chamber was heavy with tension. No one spoke for a long time. The attack had failed to achieve its goal. Earth was damaged, yes, but it was alive. Worse, it was stronger than before. Humanity had proven something dangerous. They could take a direct hit from the galaxy and keep fighting. Analysts delivered the final reports. Human casualties were high, but planetary collapse had not occurred. Industrial capacity remained intact. Morale indicators were rising, not falling. The Council leader finally spoke. It admitted what none wanted to say. The first strike had failed. On Earth, people emerged from shelters. They looked at the sky, scarred but still blue. They mourned quietly. Then they returned to work. Repairs began before the debris settled. Children asked questions. Parents answered honestly. This was war, and it was not over. Elias stood alone again, watching the horizon. He felt the weight of loss, but also certainty. The galaxy had tried to break humanity in one blow. It had failed. Now the war would change. It would become slower, harder, more costly. The first strike had been meant to end the conflict. Instead, it had only begun to teach the galaxy a lesson it was not ready to learn. The galaxy expected Earth to weaken after the first strike. It expected fear, chaos, and division. Instead, something rare and dangerous happened. Humanity unified completely. Borders lost meaning. Old rivalries faded into memory. The war did what no treaty ever could. It turned Earth into one voice with many hands. Across the planet, recovery moved at incredible speed. Damaged cities were repaired with shared resources. Nations opened their stockpiles without hesitation. Engineers from different continents worked side by side. Every loss was honored, but no one was allowed to be forgotten. Grief became fuel. Pain became purpose. The Galactic Council watched these changes with growing unease. Reports showed that Earth's production was increasing, not slowing. New defense platforms appeared in orbit faster than expected. Some were built using old designs, others with new ideas born from battlefield lessons. Humanity was not copying the galaxy. It was improving itself. Elias Ward continued to move quietly. He visited hospitals, factories, and training centers. He did not give orders. He listened. He reminded people that unity was their greatest weapon. He warned them not to hate the enemy, because hate blinded judgment. Survival required clarity. Humans nodded. They understood. This was not about pride. This was about existence. The Council began to feel pressure from within its own borders. Trade routes near human space became unstable. Pirate groups copied human tactics. Border worlds questioned Council decisions. Allies demanded reassurance. A war meant to be short was already spreading consequences. Humanity had not attacked those systems. It did not need to. The mere fact that Earth still fought had changed the balance. To end this, the Council authorized a massive offensive. This time, no restraint. Multiple fleets would strike at once. Earth's moon bases, shipyards, and deep space relays were marked for destruction. The goal was simple: overwhelm humanity everywhere at the same time. Human intelligence detected the plan. Instead of panic, calm spread. Humanity had prepared for this. The response was not to defend every target. It was to make every attack costly. Traps were set. Decoy stations broadcast false signals. Civilian evacuations were completed before the fleets arrived. The galaxy would find empty targets and deadly resistance. The offensive began. Space around Earth ignited with battles on every front. Alien fleets struck hard. Some human bases were destroyed, but many attacks met unexpected resistance. Mines detonated inside formation lines. Human ships attacked supply vessels instead of warships. Communication arrays were disrupted. The galaxy's strength became its weakness. Large fleets needed coordination. Humans specialized in breaking it. On Earth, citizens followed the battles through controlled feeds. They saw losses. They saw victories. They saw both as part of the same struggle. No one expected safety. They expected endurance. Volunteers filled training centers faster than equipment could be issued. Humanity was no longer reacting. It was anticipating. Elias recorded one final public message. He spoke of the future. He said humanity might not win in the way stories promised. There would be no clean victory, no final celebration. But there was something more important than winning. There was survival with dignity. And that, he said, was already within reach. The Council received reports of severe losses. Entire fleets were delayed or disabled. Supply chains were breaking. The war was consuming more resources than planned. Analysts warned that continuing at this pace would weaken the Council's control over distant systems. For the first time, the idea of negotiation returned to the chamber. But pride remained. Some leaders demanded a final solution, a weapon reserved for ending civilizations, a strike that would erase Earth completely. The chamber fell silent as the proposal was spoken. This would end the war. It would also change the galaxy forever. Before the vote could be taken, a message arrived. It was from Elias Ward. Short, clear. He said humanity knew about the weapon. He said Earth was prepared to face it. And he said if the Council used it, humanity's response would not be revenge. It would be exposure. Every secret, every weakness. Humanity would make sure the galaxy remembered who chose annihilation over coexistence. The threat was not military. It was moral. Many Council members hesitated. The galaxy was built on order, not destruction. Ending Earth that way would destroy the Council's legitimacy. The war slowed. Fleets pulled back. Not in defeat, but in doubt. Humanity had not beaten the galaxy, but it had done something more dangerous. It had forced the galaxy to question itself. On Earth, The skies were still scarred by war. But life continued. Children learned. Farmers planted. Engineers built. Humanity stood united, not as conquerors, but as survivors who refused to disappear quietly. Elias looked at the stars one last time before resting. He knew the war was nearing its final moment. Whatever came next, humanity had already changed the galaxy, and the galaxy would never again see Earth as weak. The final meeting of the Galactic Council was not announced. No banners of power filled the chamber. No voices argued loudly. The war had stripped away pride and replaced it with calculation and fear. Earth still stood. Humanity still fought. And the cost of continuing was now clear to everyone present. The council leader opened the session with a truth no one wanted to say aloud. The war could not be won without destroying everything the council claimed to protect. Across the stars, Earth felt the change. Enemy fleets were quieter. Movements were slower. Attacks stopped coming in waves. Humanity did not celebrate. It prepared. Experience had taught them that silence could be more dangerous than fire. Elias Ward remained in a secure location, watching data flow across global systems. He saw the patterns shift. He knew this moment was coming. The council finally voted. The decision was narrow, heavy, and final. The extinction weapon would not be used. Not because Earth had defeated the galaxy, but because using it would end the council's authority forever. A civilization built on order could not survive an act of total annihilation against a species that had already earned the galaxy's attention. Instead, the council chose something harder. Contact. A signal was sent to Earth, open and unencrypted. It carried no threats, no demands, only a request. The council asked for Elias Ward to speak for humanity one last time. Not as a warning, not as a challenge, but as a choice. Elias accepted. When he appeared before the council again, he looked older, not weaker, just marked by the weight of survival. He stood as he had before, unarmed and calm. The council leader spoke first. It admitted that the war had failed in its purpose. Earth had not surrendered. Humanity had not broken. The leader asked a simple question. What did humanity want? Elias did not answer immediately. He looked around the chamber, at beings who had ruled stars for ages. Then he spoke. He said humanity did not want the galaxy's fall. It did not want revenge. Humans understood loss to seek it for others. What humanity wanted was space to exist, to grow, to make mistakes, to learn. The same chance every ancient species once had. Some council members argued. They feared setting a precedent. Elias listened, then responded with quiet clarity. He said the precedent already existed. The galaxy had tried to erase Earth and failed. What came next would define whether the council ruled through fear or wisdom. The council leader asked what humanity would do if peace was denied. Elias answered honestly. He said humans would continue. They would adapt. They would survive. Not because they were the strongest, but because they refused to stop. The galaxy could delay that outcome, but it could not prevent it. Silence filled the chamber. The council voted again. This time, the decision was clear. War would end. Earth would be recognized as a sovereign species. Galactic law would be rewritten. Humanity would not be controlled. It would be watched, yes, but also respected. The war officially ended without a final battle. On Earth, the announcement spread slowly, then all at once. There were no massive celebrations, no roaring crowds. People cried quietly. Others sat in silence. Many simply went back to work. Humanity had learned something deep during the war. Survival was not a moment. It was a process. Elias returned home. He refused titles. He refused power. He walked among people who knew his face but treated him as one of their own. He carried the memory of those lost and the certainty that their sacrifice mattered. Humanity had not won glory. It had one time. In the galaxy, historians began to write new records. They did not describe Earth as a weak world anymore. They wrote of a species that faced extinction and answered with unity. A species that sent one human to speak for billions. A species that did not conquer the stars, but forced the stars to listen. Years later, young species would ask why the council no longer rushed to destroy emerging worlds. The answer would always be the same. Because once a small blue planet refused to kneel. Because once a war meant to erase a species revealed something dangerous and powerful. Endurance. On a quiet night, Elias looked up at the sky one last time. The stars were the same, but everything else had changed. Humanity had not shouted its place in the universe. It had earned it, and the galaxy would remember that the greatest reply to war was not destruction, but the unbreakable will to continue.